the shapefile that you're downloading now is for Nueces County. It includes all of the NGS monumentation. That means horizontal and vertical control. So, would this is this by nature going to automatically go onto a certain layer in the GIS?
Now that's something that you have to add into your GIS, and as soon as I download this, that'll be the next thing I show you.
And the deal about layers is what limits the number of layers, or is there a limit to the number of layers in a GIS?
You know, Rob, it's limited to your own imagination. As many
Really?
layers as you want to put in there, and as many layers as you can deal with, actually,
Okay.
that's what you're going to work
So
with.
we probably want to make a layer for NGS control,
Yeah, we're going to go ahead
or
and
even
make
maybe
one
even control, because there's multiple sources. There's utility companies. There's your own control that your company has that you've densified. So, anyways, for the shapefile for today's exercise, and the reason that we're showing this, even though step 4 is really about enhancing the value of your base map, we're showing this merely so we can actually retrieve an NGS monument, correct?
You got it. This is where we're going to retrieve our monuments from, and it's just a lot easier. It's a lot more interactive way of doing it rather than the old ways where you probably had to do it at. I'm not saying
Right.
you're old. I'm just saying
Yeah, right.
you probably
Yeah,
had to
yeah.
go through and pull them up one at a time.
Well, yeah. I mean, like right now, if I wasn't using GIS out of the box, if I wasn't using ArcView to manage my business, every day I would go to the NGS website and pull up data sheets. And by having these data sheets in my GSI,
That's
in my
GIS,
GIS,
there you go.
yeah, well, I'm learning. In my GIS, then I would be able to actually go to my ARC map project, go to my base map, and I wouldn't have to go out to the NGS website independently to get the current data sheet.
You got
That's
it.
what we're going to
You got
demonstrate
it.
here? Okay.
You are going to get the data from the NGS website, but rather than having to go through and search for it every single time, it's going to be on the map for you. It's going to be interactive. All you
So
gotta
we
do
could
is simply
actually
click on
say
it.
this can save you time.
I
After
will
you invest in a
guarantee you
little
it
time.
will save you some
Okay,
time.
okay, okay.
It's going to take a little bit of time for you to get it set up, but
All right.
you only have to set it up once
Right,
rather than setting it up, the website, to get it every single time.
right.
Yeah, so this is downloading right now.
And you've already, have you extracted the zip? It's
You know,
opening
I
the
haven't
zip file?
extracted it yet, but while we were talking, I did. It did pop up for me to save it, and I went ahead and clicked the save button, and it's actually downloading that zip file for me right now. Now, as
Okay.
you can see, it's called Nueces NG3. I have to say I've downloaded this a few times before I started talking to you, just to make sure I got it right. You know,
Okay.
didn't want to mess up with you.
All right.
But if you're downloading it for the first time, it's just going to be called exactly what you called it.
Okay.
So because I typed in Nueces NG, and I've done it a few times already, it's actually going to have a suffix on it.
Okay. And from what I understand, you know, you could go back to the NGS website instead of collecting all the points. You could go in there and get only points that have been observed by GPS. And for those of y'all that are very familiar with the NGS website, there are many ways to retrieve the data. And I agree with Troy that bringing all of them in when you're building your GIS is valuable, because even though some of the marks may not have a vertical control value on them, through your work you may be densifying and may be running a level loop, or you may be doing a very intense static job in that area where you can actually start putting some vertical values of your own on some horizontal monuments that don't really have vertical. They have scaled, and anytime they have the word scaled on there, don't use them, because they've been scaled off of a quad sheet that's got like 10-foot contour, so there's already 10 or 20-foot potential of error in the scan. And down here where we're working out of this office right here today in Corpus Christi, Texas, 10 foot of error could mean in the water or out of the water because of sea level being so close.
You got it, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because they have the opportunity to choose what they want to have.
Okay.
They're going to get everything as if they're picking it off the website.
Right.
Now it's done downloading,
Okay.
and
What's
this is in a zip format for Rob. So what do you do with zip files?
You gotta extract them.
Yeah,
you
you
gotta
can't
open
just you can't just open them up like that.
Nope.
Okay, yeah. So we're going to go ahead and open it, and don't forget to extract your file. Go ahead and run through the wizard and put it in a place where you're going to put all your base data. You might have all your base data on a server. You might have it on your C drive, on everybody's C drive who's going to be working on this, or you might have this on an external hard drive. For this process, I'm just going to put it on my C drive, and of course I have a project called base data. And that's where I'm going to want to put it.
Okay.
And I'm just going to hit next. And I'm going to hit yes to all. You probably won't have that problem. And we're done. We're going to hit finish.
Okay.
And we just downloaded an NGS shapefile.
So we'll be able to go into ArcMap, import this shapefile, which will actually be a map of all of the NGS control for Nueces County. And once we get to that point, we'll be able to pick the actual point that we want to go and use for our survey in the field. And we'll be able to actually print out a data sheet so that we'll know how to search for the monument. We'll also know the actual current NAT 83 XY value for that monument, correct?
You got it. Let's stop talking and let's do it.
Let's go to the next one.
All right, Rob. What we're going to do now is, you know that NGS shapefile we just downloaded from the website.
And yeah, the shapefile, that's just like a file extension for a GIS file. Yes, we went to the website and we downloaded Nueces County NGS monuments in a shapefile format. I do remember that.
Yep. What we're going to do is I'm going to show you how we're going to bring that into your GIS.
Okay, we had to unzip that file, right?
Yeah, we have to unzip it.
Okay,
put
no
it in
problem.
specific
I just want to make sure I understand. Okay.
You got it.
So how would you bring it into ArcMap or ArcView?
Well, I got to open up ArcMap. So that's the first thing I got to do. Open up ArcMap. Takes a minute, but
for the people that are just now getting started in GIS, do they need to actually go into Arc and do this right now, or is this something that they can go back to after they see module step 3 and step 4, which actually show a lot more detail on how to use software?
What I would recommend is they watch this, watch the whole thing, see how they bring in their base data, which is actually what they're going to want to do first.
Okay.
But after they do that, they're gonna see where this is gonna come into play.
They can always come back and replay.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Our whole goal right now, guys, and gals, is to make sure that we can show you that as you get data off the internet, which step 4 is really about, in the 5-step process, that you realize that it's really simple to put your data into the GIS once you download it. So right now, the goal is georeferencing. That's the step that we're on. We're just going to show you how we got the data for the NGS monument that we're going to actually go out and localize and calibrate our job to, right?
Yep, you got it. So I'm going to open up my base map that I got. And I actually have a folder called Projects. Under that Projects folder, I have a file called GIS. And that's where I keep all my map files that are my GIS files. It's just easier to find them and separate them from my surveys and my scans and all that stuff. I'll click open, and I'm going to get my base map.
You know, one thing I'd like to note is, as long as the world's turning down at the bottom, see there, that right down there, if you can point.
Yeah, what I recommend is if you see that spinning,
right,
don't touch anything.
Right.
Because you're gonna have to spin it again and again. It's just easier to let it go.
Right. Just be patient sometimes.
Now, what I have on this base map, Rob, is just my street layers. I have my imagery that's actually off right now, and I'll show you how to turn that on in a second. On top of that, I have my abstracts and then my counties. Now, you see this area right here on the left. This is my table of contents. And the way this is ordered, top to bottom, is the way my files are actually laid out in my map from top to bottom. So on the top, I got my counties. At the bottom, I got my imagery. So just gets that out there.
You know, we ought to make a separate little CD or video on how the basics of ArcView and actually how to manage the toolbars and all that. But right now, you guys just be patient, and we're going to go ahead and get through this process.
Definitely.